Welcome back to With the First Pick on this edition of The Perfect Fix. We're going to tweak. Don't need to fix wholeheartedly because they made it all the way to the AFC Championship. The Denver Broncos. I'm Ryan Wilson. That's former Titans GM Rand Carthon. And Broncos fans, I'm actually sort of curious what you guys think that George Paton and Sean Payton need to do to tweak this team here. Bo Nixon got hurt just prior to the AFC Championship game, so he did not play. And Jarrett Stidham did as good as he could have done. The conditions weren't great, but I think you have to be overall pretty happy with the way the season went. So I'm curious what your thoughts are, especially on the offense and what they need to do to improve. We know the defense has played at a pretty high level under Vance Joseph. All right, so let's start there. Payton said after the playoffs, Sean Payton did, not George, that he took full responsibility for what happened, and then he promptly fired his good buddy, offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi. They've been together forever, going back to New Orleans. He fired a couple other coaches as well. But to me, that felt like less about Joe Lombardi because Sean Payton's calling the plays and more of an opportunity to promote Davis Webb to OC. Does that sound right to you? And then what's the long-term plan with Davis Webb? Because if he's not calling plays, it's only going to be a matter of time because he did get some head coaching sniffs this hiring cycle.
Yeah, you feel bad for Joe Lombardi. I feel like Joe Lombardi's been around the block multiple times in this league. I think he's worked with Sean Payton before. He might have been fired in that instance.
They were together in New Orleans for sure.
It's always awkward when the guy who's not calling the plays gets fired for stuff that went wrong with the offense. Like, damn, did he screw up the practice script or like what exactly happened? But Joe Lombardi will be fine. But I do think a lot of it was for them to have the ability to keep Davis Webb, because I think I'm not going to say I think. I know for a fact that he did a really good job in those job interviews that he had, and that people see him as a real guy and has a real chance to be a head coach in the coming years. But what I will say is, a lot of times, and this is just as for our viewers, whether you're watching or you're listening, these teams are really slick in how they do these interviews. Sometimes they could be bringing in a guy to interview him for the head coach spot, but essentially it's because one of the head coaching candidates that they really like has this guy listed as their coordinator. And so now you get an opportunity to interview the coordinator yourself. And so it could have been a situation where Davis Webb interviewed for a job somewhere, and with the understanding that he was going to be the offensive coordinator for said team. And so they gave them the opportunity to do so. And Sean Payton knows how the game is played. And so he knew he had a good young up-and-coming coach and wanted to keep him. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe Sean Payton's getting to that point in his career where he wants to hand over the play calling duties, and he just hadn't found that person yet. And maybe Davis Webb is that person, because you have to think Davis Webb went from playing to immediately coaching. And so typically when you see that quick of a transition, it's because the coach believes in you. He didn't necessarily give him a job, but I had heard the story so many times when Chip Kelly was coaching at the Eagles and DeMeco Ryans was a player on that team. They said Chip Kelly would tell anybody who's listening that guy's going to be a head coach one day. And so, when people see that early, they try to, hey, man, look, what are you doing with yourself? Come on. That's what Bill Parcells did with my dad. My dad wanted to do personnel. He wanted to go front office, but Parcells was like, no, you're going to come and you're going to coach. And my dad's one of the few players that Parcells has had with him that he just immediately took them from not playing and brought them on to the coaching staff.
Yeah, that's a great story. We need to dig more into that. Maybe we'll do that in the summer. I remember our buddy Rick Spielman saying he went into front office because it was harder to get fired because coaches come and go. So he tried to take the path of least resistance, and it worked out for a pretty good minute. Actually, still working out pretty. The guy's stealing money from Woody Johnson, but that's a conversation for another time. All right,
Don't do Rick like
that. Let's talk about Davis Love's future is bright, certainly in Denver and elsewhere. The Broncos are currently 14th in available salary cap space, right in the middle there, about $26 million available to them their spring, which is a great development given the rock they were under when dealing with the Russ Wilson stuff and moving on from him. So they're in great position. So let's talk about some of the players that are soon to be free agents here. And if you're looking at the graphic, Producer Striker has them up there. John Franklin Myers, Alex Singleton, who had a great comeback story. His contract's up. PJ Locke, Justin Sternad. J.K. Dobbins is an interesting one because when he's healthy, he certainly helped that run game along with Harvey, the rookie. Sam Mustipher, Lil Jordan Humphrey, was a number 3, number 4 wide receiver for Bo Nix there. Jaquan McMillan and Jaleel McLaughlin are both interesting as chess pieces as a nickelback and as a sort of a change of pace running back ran. So of those names, anybody strike your fancy as dudes you want to run it back with the $26 million?
Well, Jaquan McMillan is a restricted free agent.
Oh, good.
So I'm
there
pretty sure they're gonna tag him with the second round tender and may look to actually get a deal done with him at some point, whether it's this offseason or during the season next year, to kind of lock him in. But John Franklin Myers is a really, really interesting one. He's one that I would try to get back if I'm them, because I could see a world where if he hits the market, a team like the Titans could really swing for him. They have over 100 million in cap space, and John Franklin Myers was signed by Robert Saleh at the Jets. And so with just familiarity there, he could be a guy that will move to their system. So if I'm the not the Patriots, if I'm the Broncos, then I'm looking to get him back. Alex Singleton has been the captain of that defense. He's been the green dot guy. He's been the energy, the juice. I will try to figure out something to get him back. And then J.K. Dobbins is an interesting one. To me, before I would sign him, I would want to know. I'm speaking from the outside looking in. What is the vision for the running back position in this Denver offense, right? J.K. Dobbins was, I think he still finished the year as their leading rusher in only 10 games played, had over 700 yards, over 750 yards rushing. But the one thing that's always persisted in J.K. Dobbins' career is injuries.
Right.
And so he's been hurt a lot. So if you want to bring him back, it's got to be a modest deal with some upside if he's eligible to play. So per game roster bonuses, for each game that he's on the active roster, yards, thresholds, whatever you want to put, touchdowns, those type of things you want to put in the contract, and a more incentive-based contract than you would someone else. Some other names, safety PJ Locke has been a solid player for him. Justin Strenard was a guy that went from undrafted guy to playing a key role for them. So guys like that, I think you try to figure out where you want to get them back. But $26 million in cap space, like you mentioned. 1.2 million in dead cap money. Some guys that you could renegotiate or potentially move on from that will free up more money. Right tackle Mike McGlinchey from a cap number perspective, he has the highest cap number on the team entering 2026 with 23.7 million. Will be his cap number for the year. If they were to move on from him, that'll be 15.3 million in dead cap space. And then Evan Ingram, he would be another interesting one to consider. $14.1 million cap hit for 2026, carrying a $10.3 million dead cap number.
Yeah, the Evan Ingram thing never quite came together, and that'll lead me to my next point in a second. But to circle back, you're exactly right about J.K. Dobbins. Rushed for 772 yards in just 10 games. R.J. Harvey, the rookie, played in all 17 games, had 540, and third leading rusher on the team, quarterback Bo Nix. So that's part of Bo Nix's game, so that's not necessarily a surprise, but just something to keep in mind here. So the Broncos do have 9 picks in the 2026 NFL Draft, including 2 4ths and 3 7ths. And we'll play the game where I give you some guys at the bottom of round 1, and you tell me what kind of fit and impact they would make in 2026 for the Broncos. And let's start at tight end. Kenyon Sadiq is there. Are you taking him? What about your guy? Should he fall perhaps for some injury concern reasons? Defensive lineman Caleb Banks. What if he's there at the bottom of round 1? Safety Emmanuel McNeil-Warren at Toledo could be an option if they move on from PJ Locke or others. And I'll throw 2 more names out there. Wide receiver Denzel Boston. We saw in the graphic that this team struggles in terms of yards per reception that Stryker had up there. And Anthony Hill, linebacker out of Texas. I wouldn't take him that high, but other teams may have him higher on their board. But athletic linebacker that provides some juice if they don't bring back Singleton or Sternad. Any of those names, most immediate impact player for 26 for you?
Well, I'll say this, and this is just because of my experience. If you move on from Alex Singleton, right, and you don't bring Alex Singleton back, I don't know that Anthony Hill would be the guy to come in right away. And I like Anthony Hill. I probably like him a little bit more than most, but I don't think he's the guy you come in, you plug and play him as your green dot next to Dre Greenlaw, right? Dre Greenlaw, as great a player as he is, he's not the green dot guy. So you'll be essentially asking for a rookie to step out front of that huddle and command the huddle, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then I do like the Denzel Boston fit. If you know Sean Payton's system, he's always had those taller guys on the perimeter. But the one thing with Denzel Boston, I will say, is the speed. That would be the question. I do think that this offense needs speed at the wide receiver
They do.
position. And so I think that's where it would help them. Kenyon Sadiq, like I went from loving him this offseason, and I need to spend some more time, and I'll probably do it this weekend, like just breaking his game down. I just wanted to see more, and I don't think I ever did. I think there are other players at the position at Oregon that outshined him this year, right? And so I'm not sold on him being a top 32 pick right now.
Okay, fair enough.
And so that's where but man, I mean, you know me, if Caleb Banks is staring them in the face and you decide to move on from John Franklin Myers, I don't think he'll be the pass rusher that John Franklin Myers is.
He might.
But he can have an impact on that defensive line up front. And I think he's a force. Again, I'm always say it until he proves it. The spring is important for him.
Yeah.
And let's see how many of these questions he's off to a good start, showed up at the Senior Bowl, did his thing. Let's see if that carries over to the combine. Let's see if that carries over to the pro day, these interviews with teams. And so if he can answer all those questions, if he's there, you sprint the card up and you don't look back.
Yep, I think that's right. That's don't overthink a situation for sure. Hey, Broncos fans, what do you think? What do you think the most important thing is at the bottom of round one in terms of players that are likely to be available? And look, if you guys want to trade up and go get someone, let me know. We got a ton of draft picks. I'm curious what you guys think in terms of players that can come in right away next season and help this team, whether on offense or on defense. All right. It's Jim Mora time. Striker, what we got?
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
So we talked about the Patriots' perfect draft or the perfect fix, excuse me. We're doing the perfect draft in the months and days leading up to the actual draft, but the perfect fix in New England. The Broncos' path might be a little easier, it feels like. And that sounds crazy to say because Drake May's a better quarterback than Bo Nix. Defensively, maybe they're in the same conversation. Am I on drugs or am I onto something there?
I think you might be on drugs regardless of if you're on to something or not. Man, look, I mean, again, let's look at this. Let's go down the schedule. You got Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, division. Then
Hey, let me ask you right now before you go on. Right now, as we're doing this days after the Super Bowl, who is the best team in the AFC West, knowing everything that we know about them?
Right now, I would have to stick with the Broncos.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
But again, you got Bills, you got the Jags, you got to play the NFC West next year. And we saw that division had 3 12-win teams. It's looking like you got to play the AFC East as well. And so, yeah, man, I mean, it's going to be a tough schedule. You got to go to the Patriots. You got to go to the Niners. It's, I mean, it could be a lot of these games, man, are toss-ups. So I think they'll definitely, again, be a team that'll win more than they lose. But it's going to be interesting. I'll say that.
All right, let me say, I'm going to put you on the spot. 9.5 wins, more or fewer than 9.5 wins in 2026 for the Denver Broncos?
Looking at this, 9.5. Shoot.
I'm struggling. That's a good number.
I know. Let me count. I'm gonna just do this.
All right, do the math.
3, 4, 5, call it 6, 7. They'll eke out. I'll say more, but I'm not convinced. And by more, I mean 10.
Yeah. So if you get to 10, then you're in the conversation for 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7. Excuse me, in terms of the wild cards. So maybe you backdoor your way into it. We'll see where the Chargers are. They have Mike McDaniel now as their OC. We'll see where the Raiders are with Clint Kubiak and perhaps predictably Fernando Mendoza, and we'll see where a healthy Patrick Mahomes is. So it'll be fun. But again, no one thought this team, the Broncos, are going to win 14 games in 2025, and here we are. And Bo Nix proved his doubters wrong, me included. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to Broncos fans for a good season. All right, that's it for us here. This edition of The Perfect Fix. Thanks, as always, for joining us in the discussion. Always love hearing what you guys have to say, and be sure to subscribe to the old podcast if you like what we do, and we will see you guys in the next one.